The Old Book Open Book Secret to Success. The night was unusually quiet in Queens, New York. Street lights flickered against the damp pavement, and the occasional honk of a yellow cab pierced the silence. Inside a tiny, dimly lit apartment above a laundromat, a young man sat by the window, staring at the city that never slept. His name was Amir Khan, a 27-year-old Pakistani immigrant who had come to America with dreams bigger than his suitcase. But dreams don't pay rent. Amir worked 12-hour shifts at a gas station, barely scraping enough to cover bills. His mother's medical expenses back home in Karachi drained whatever was left. The city felt heavy, merciless, like a beast that devoured hope. One evening, after another exhausting shift, he stumbled into a small, second-hand bookstore. The smell of old pages and dust welcomed him like an old friend. The store was nearly empty, except for an old man behind the counter, his white beard spilling down his chest, his eyes sharp and oddly comforting. Looking for something, the old man asked in a gravelly voice. "Just a place to breathe," Amir muttered. The old man chuckled softly, then handed him a thick, leather-bound book without a title. Its cover was worn, corners frayed, as if it had survived 100 lifetimes. "Take this," the man said. "It's not for sale. But it might give you what you're looking for." Amir frowned. "What's inside?" The old man leaned closer. The Secret to Success. Chapter 1, The Stranger's Gift. That night, Amir sat on his narrow bed, the book heavy in his hands. The pages were yellowed, filled with handwritten notes, sketches, and underlined sentences. The first page read, "Success is not about luck. It's about the courage to see beyond failure." Amir scoffed. He had read motivational quotes before. None of them had kept his landlord from banging on his door. But as he turned the pages, something strange happened. Every chapter felt eerily personal, almost as if the book knew his struggles. One section described a young immigrant who wasted years working menial jobs, afraid to risk anything. Another warned, "Comfort is the slowest form of death." For the first time in months, Amir felt something spark inside him, not anger, not despair, but possibility. Chapter 2, The Gamble. The next morning, instead of heading straight to his gas station shift, Amir walked into a public library and sat at a computer. He researched small business loans, watched free lectures on entrepreneurship, and scribbled plans in a notebook. The book had a chapter titled "Risk is the Price of Freedom." Inspired, Amir decided to take a bold step. He withdrew his savings, barely 4,000, and rented a small food cart. Cooking had always been his hidden talent, something his late father had taught him in Karachi's narrow alleys. The first week, sales were slow. New Yorkers rushed past his cart, barely glancing at the kebabs sizzling on the grill. His gas station boss fired him when he missed 2 shifts. He almost gave up. But then he remembered a line from the book, "When the world ignores you, shout with your work." So he did. Amir started giving out free samples, smiling at strangers, telling his story to anyone who listened. Word spread. Within weeks, office workers lined up during lunch breaks, craving the taste of his spicy chicken rolls. Chapter 3, The Shadows. Success, however, attracts shadows. One evening, as Amir was closing his cart, 2 men approached him. They were from the local business association, really just a gang that extorted money from small vendors. "You're doing well," one sneered. "But in this neighborhood, you gotta pay protection." Amir's hands trembled. He barely had enough to keep his cart running. Paying them would crush his dream. That night, he opened the old book again. A page seemed almost to glow under the weak light. True success demands a fight not against others, but against your own fear. The next day, instead of paying the gang, Amir went straight to the police. It was risky, they could retaliate. But surprisingly, other vendors joined him. Together, they helped expose the extortion ring. The arrests made headlines. Amir's cart was suddenly famous. Chapter 4, The Price of Success. Months passed. The food cart turned into a small restaurant. Amir hired workers, many of them immigrants like himself, people who only needed one chance. Business boomed. Yet, with success came distance. His phone calls to Karachi became shorter. His mother often asked, "Beta, are you happy?" and Amir, staring at his restaurant's crowded tables, could never answer honestly. One night, exhausted after a long day, he opened the old book again. But this time, something was different. A note, scribbled at the end, caught his eye. When you think you've found success, ask yourself, did you lose what you were looking for in the first place? The words hit him harder than any struggle. He realized he had been chasing money, recognition, survival, but somewhere, he had forgotten why he started. Chapter 5, The Return. Amir closed the restaurant early the next day and sat with his employees, listening to their stories. One was saving for his daughter's college. Another was sending money to rebuild his family's home in Haiti. Amir realized his success wasn't measured by the money in his account, but by the lives he touched. He began a scholarship fund for immigrant families, in memory of his father. He spent weekends teaching cooking classes to kids who couldn't afford them. The restaurant wasn't just a business anymore, it was a community. And yet, one mystery lingered. Chapter 6, The Revelation. Years later, on a rainy night, Amir returned to the same dusty bookstore. The bell above the door jingled, but the counter was empty. He searched the shelves, desperate to see the old man again. Finally, he spotted a photograph on the wall, a younger version of the old man, smiling beside shelves of books. The caption read, "In memory of Henry Wallace, 1929 to 1998. A man who believed books could change lives." Amir's heart pounded. 1998, that meant the man he had met, the one who gave him the book, had been dead for over 20 years. Shaken, he looked down at the leather-bound book in his hands. For the first time, he noticed its final page, one he had somehow missed before. It read, "The secret to success is never written in books. It is written in the lives we change." Epilogue. Years later, people across New York spoke of Khan's Kitchen, not just as a restaurant, but as a story of resilience and hope. Customers often saw an old leather book displayed in a glass case by the counter. When they asked about it, Amir only smiled and said, "It's not the book that holds the secret. It's what you do after you read it." And in that truth, hidden in the heart of an immigrant's struggle, lay the real secret to success.